आप बोले करिए, आप देखिए जा करके देखिए देखो।
This is the time we normally. Well, this was spring break. I didn't know if we could move the dates now. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't know that. So. Party vibe.
Yeah, I don't want it. It's a big part of coming to Minneapolis to come to the university.
ऐसे ही ना लंबा काले में लंबा ऐसे ही ना ऐसे लंबा काले
No. Well, 2 years later. So, 2 years later. Yeah.
इसको उल्टा कैसे करना होता है? Can you excuse me? Make it opposite side. I cannot see the glass.
1 second.
We can. That's all the way. We can keep this way also. That's fine. Or we can keep this way. That's also fine. Okay.
You wanted the other.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. Good.
He's hoping to get 5. He's hoping to get 5 students. He said he was, there could be 5. How many, I have never come to this university program. Are they usually quite?
Oh, yeah, it's full.
The whole room. Rooms on improvement.
There are a few more.
If we could plan the seating so that we're all facing each other.
Make a circle.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All 5 of us.
Sorry. Can you make it not to go to the screen, not to shut down the screen?
Okay.
Screen is closing. You see, so the screen is already on. It's already live.
Yeah, you don't want the screen to turn off, right? So.
It flipped the camera.
On the way to Mexico?
Yeah.
That's okay. Very good. Incredible. Oh, the land is here. Okay, wait. It's in that portrait.
Her family, they do serve up.
I
So
understand.
she came with her dad. And took us to the Dallas temple,
Mhm.
introduced us around. We were there
Yeah,
for
that was
several
good, right?
hours, got a tour.
Mm.
We had a lot of-
Let me try.
I loved it. It was really special. Are you gonna be at the temple too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting your Sunday program.
I forgot the name of this.
Oh, below. So that does not cover
I
the
know,
nose.
I know.
Okay.
He was there. He was meeting with-
You can see my hand, right?
And there's another guy that's a Tamil
No,
Christian.
this is good. No problem. It is showing you small. Okay.
Archie the Christian. He was there. He spent a long time talking to his insurance company.
I mean, it's not on Friday. Or Saturday.
That's good. Yeah, but some now it
The
is
small is good enough.
But I mean,
yeah, but
I will start the class.
okay.
no, campus has been pretty. I think you're staying at the graduate. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it became a security issue on campus. I think they probably did that.
Yep. There might be 3 or 4 more people. Students. See,
So spring break.
we wasn't aware it was spring break. Not around.
Spring break started Monday.
When did it start?
Friday.
Well, just before spring break is exam, that's also.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. No, it isn't turning
Welcome.
that way.
You're still here. Instead of spring break, you're still here.
Yes. I'm an international student, so.
It is.
My roommate.
Okay.
You're stuck. When do classes resume?
Next week,
Whole week.
or free time fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think what the topic is that you're picking up? Because you 3 are outnumbered.
What would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, we're okay with anything else.
Okay with anything.
Anything works.
Anything works. Yes, we get. You two know this sign man over here?
Yep.
Your roommate too?
No.
But you're stuck also. You're a foreign student.
Yes.
On a week-long vacation. You're stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with this?
Yes.
Are you familiar with Bhagavad Gita?
Yes.
Yeah. If I ask you some questions about Bhagavad Gita, you'll be able to answer them.
I'm not sure.
That's a good answer.
He comes to the program, to the center,
All right,
He's regular.
all right. So there were 3 students that came yesterday.
I was one of them.
You were one of them. You had 2 friends.
They got busy with some other.
Busy brother. Well, the topic was something like how Bhagavad Gita can be helpful, or practically helpful for students in their student life. Something like that. Is that
Yeah, how can Bhagavad Gita have everyday life?
helpful? A few things that are maybe Bhagavad Gita is a little bit layered, meaning there's an introduction, and the introduction is chapter 2. And chapter 2 has 2 parts. This is just a little of the structure of Bhagavad Gita. The first half of chapter 2 is Arjuna to you've been speaking murdered words, but you don't even know who you are. So then let's do a little lesson on who you are. And then one of the things about understanding who you are is to understand who you are not. Because Arjuna, you're identifying who you are not, that's not who you are. In other words, the soul is who we are, and there's the coverings of the soul that's who we are not. And you're identifying with the part that you're not, the covering. And because you're identifying with the covering, you're caught in this dilemma of not knowing what's best for you and deciding based upon high-sounding principles. They're true principles. Like if I engage in this battle, then people on both sides are going to be killed, and it's all men that's going to leave their wives and families unprotected by the men, which are dead. And then I'll be responsible for what happens after that because I've been engaged in the battle that kills people. So that's a no-no. People should be protected, which is true. And one should respect superiors. And on the other side, I can see there's grandfather, there's teacher, there's elders, and you're supposed to respect those personnel. It's disturbance, it's adharma. How can I engage in adharma? His assessment is based on dharmic laws that are for elevation of society, but the dharmic laws that are based upon the elevation of society have a higher principle than just the elevation of society. In other words, what's higher than the elevation of society? It's if you know who you are, then you act on the platform of who you are, and then ultimately act on the platform of the indication of the Supreme, because he knows what's best for you and for the other side. Stepping back, all the soldiers that were killed on both sides, all the soldiers that were killed on the battlefield, they didn't take birth again. Killed in the presence of Krishna, they didn't take birth again. That guy's in the or Narjana, no. Even they didn't know. Like Mr. Bad Guy himself, Duryodhana. There's a very nice, just yesterday, we were viewing some presentation on higher principles of life, and persons during Krishna showed in 1.5 the whole assembly, they wanted to attack him. He showed his universal form. You know, people can't show. It's one of the challenges for somebody that says, I'm God. Very well. Then you see a universal form. Then we can accept. He saw the universal form and he still didn't get it. The portrait, the ultimate is really thick, very stubborn. And understanding or not understanding who Krishna is, all the soldiers on the battlefield didn't take birth again. It's a nice understanding. Strength and middle understanding. There's benefit, even unknowing benefit. We had a little discussion. It's unrelated, but it's related. The layers of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita go Sankhya Yoga, Buddha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, or Dhyana Yoga, and the Bhakti Yoga, like the ladder. That's the structure of the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. And the lower rungs of a ladder are meant to take you to the upper rung. The purpose of the ladder is to take you to some other destination you can't reach without the ladder. And all the systems of yoga, we'll bring this around to how this can benefit students in their everyday life. What's the purpose? What's the purpose of yoga? What's the purpose of education? How many? You're the exception. You 3. Da-da-da-da. In addition to, at least somewhere in the ascending process of gathering knowledge and preparing yourself for a career and all the other things that are involved in once you get a career, what you do. A parallel track, minimally parallel track, at least the idea of this club, and the idea of Bhagavad Gita is, along with developing your intellectual skills and your everything else that goes along with higher education, simultaneously develop an understanding of who you really are. Supposing you have a high education, but you don't know who you are. That can be problematic. It's definitely problematic for yourself, and it's usually also problematic for others, because you have a weapon or a tool, and you don't know what the use of it is, other than getting something done. The higher purpose of the human life, the higher purpose of human life is missed. And when you miss the higher purpose of human life, then what? Purnarjanma. You do it again, and do it again, do it again. And where, after this life, who knows? There was a famous astrologer, when Nehru died, he indicated that Nehru became a dog in Sweden. What is a dog in India? Because it was dog's life, and etc. and sinful and whatever else besides being. So getting up to the top of the pile, it doesn't without mentioning names, there's lots of leaders today that are at the top of the pile and they're making a mess. And then people are following the mess maker, and then there are people that are blind or leading the blind because they're strong, they're leaders. They have people who follow them because they're strong and assertive. So it's really a mess without having a deeper understanding of who we really are. There's a little Prabhupada stories, not exactly Bhagavad Gita, but twice that I'm aware of by direct hearing. When Srila Prabhupada first started the Hare Krishna movement in New York, he became a popular figure in the media. Like, who's this guy? What's he doing? So, a New York Post is kind of a sensational newspaper. It's not known for its purity. It's elevated way of covering things. So there was a New York Post newspaper reporter interviewing Prabhupada, and Swamiji, you've come to America, you've obviously come with some purpose in mind. What's the message that you wanted to deliver? Open-ended question. Swamiji, people should know who they are. Pause. This is a radio interview. Know who you are. Help other people. Know who you are. I've come to deliver the message. Please know who you are. Because you don't. If you don't know who we are, you're going to make a mess. Be small or big or in between. You're going to make a mess in your life and others. That can help big and small. And in a similar way, language was slightly different, but Prabhupada speaking in Tompkins Square Park. It's a nice story how it led to that, but although it's a Prabhupada story, I'm not telling about it, but it's telling about it. By inspiration, someone found a storefront in New York City, Lower East Side. The owner before had called his place the Matchless Gifts. So they left it up at the big signboard of it, Matchless Gifts. Gifts, plural. So in the Matchless Gifts storefront, 26 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada had a room in the back area, and then there's a little courtyard between where his room was and then the storefront. So 3 nights a week they had Prabhupada came downstairs and led kirtan, and slowly the crowd started to grow because it was lively and lovely and transcendental. They felt spiritual vibration from kirtan and from Swami's Prabhupada. And it started to grow and grow. The place became full. So at a certain point, one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, is it okay? Do you think we could take this? Because they would start to stand and dance along with the kirtan. Can we go through this in the public? And Prabhupada's reply was, I was just waiting for you to ask. And so he said, but we have to get a permit if we don't have a proper police. They got a permit to go to Tompkins Square Park. It's Lower East Side, kind of grungy neighborhood, but park. So the park gave a permit for having kirtan. So they went down the street to the park and did the same thing in the park that they were doing in the storefront. Sitting down, having kirtan, in a big semicircle. And after 3 hours worth of sitting and chanting, many of the devotees were up and dancing along with chanting. And then the crowd started to form because it's kind of sensational. They were seeing anything like this before. And his kirtan stopped, Prabhupada stood, famous photograph that's in East Village Other. And I wasn't here, but Prabhupada looked around and said, I've not come to teach something new. I've come to remind you of what you've forgotten. Who you really are. And what our source is. And how to make that connection between us and our source. And then, little, because it was outdoors, it was just an introductory little talk, it was short. But that was a message of Bhagavad Gita, the message of second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Who are you? And the misidentification with the coverings as who we are, the gross covering, that's one. And then the subtle covering, that's another. And divisions of the subtle covering, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And identifying with one of those or combinations of those. And it's who I am. And live my life accordingly. And I miss both. Because the purpose of life is to know who you are. And that's not who we are. And then when the sale is done, there's another birth. So that one can learn their lesson. And it isn't guaranteed that's going to be from an educated family or even in human form. It could be a demigod, it could be a dog, it could be anything, any species, depending upon density. It's risky. And at the same time, it's an opportunity. The Bhagavad Gita is the practical benefit of Bhagavad Gita is to teach us who we really are. And these layers of, I would say, something that students can benefit from particularly, even in the preliminary sections, like, Karma Yoga teaching, chapter 3, is work without attachment to the results. And what student is going to work without attachment to results? But that's Bhagavad Gita. That's chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita. So if you work without attachment to results, you have to work for the Supreme. You work diligently, but the results are up to the Supreme. So since the results come from the Supreme, they belong to the Supreme. You offer them to the Supreme. That's Karma Yoga. Not just karma, it's Karma Yoga. Offer the results to the Supreme. You're entitled to perform a prescribed duty. Karmani evanikaraste ma paleshu kadashana. You're entitled to perform your prescribed duty. You're not entitled to the results of your prescribed duty. At any stage of life. So it's a principle to live by. Not an easy principle to live by, but it's a principle. It's a yoga principle. And the yoga principle means connecting with the Supreme. So it's slowly drawing animal to human. And then in human consciousness, then comes a higher intelligence. That's when one learns that system of detachment, that it frees the intelligence instead of how to get ahead and how to solve the problems created by material involvement, is higher thoughts. Jnana yoga. And then more concentration. Jnana yoga. And then bhakti yoga. I can say this from practical experience, some few years ago, like the previous lifetime, I started practicing devotional service with this Bhagavad Gita as a guide. And along with chanting japa as an undergraduate student, you chant on beats? A little bit.
I do once a day.
Every once in a while?
Once a day.
Once a day. So I was listening. Is how Bhagavad Gita and chanting help me. And the same. So I was chanting 4 rounds a day. This is my senior year of undergraduate study. On my way to, but the notion was to continue with medical school. That was the thing. I began chanting because I wanted to know. And I knew they didn't know. So I found Bhagavad Gita, or someone gave me a Bhagavad Gita, this particular version. And I was hearing from other devotees, it's chanting 16 rounds, that's the magic number. And but I had academic work and was a student, and I wanted to be negligent my senior year. Anyway, so I thought, let me try, because I kept hearing it. So when I tried, I found chanting 4 rounds generally took me a half an hour. Chanting 16 rounds took 2 hours. And when I started, I didn't have an expectation, but I found that I became energized, so energized that I didn't try for this, but my sleep requirement reduced from 8 hours to 6 hours. So I had 2 hours. That was my 2 hours of chanting. And then to do my 2 hours of chanting in the morning, I left some academic work after the chanting. So then when I did my academic work after chanting, it took much less time. Because it took much less time, I had time for reading Bhagavad Gita. Like magic. I didn't plan it that way, but that's kind of what happened. And then it worked so well, I continued. Obviously, the sequence of things were interesting. But it spiritualized my academic work and gave me an opportunity to see things that I wasn't seeing before I started chanting that much and reading Bhagavad Gita regularly. Light was coming through everyday experiences to the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. That's a very significant benefit. The mission of human life. Here's something that's not from Bhagavad Gita per se. It's from Priti Sandarbha. It's a writing of Jiva Goswami. In the human form of life, we wish for 2 things: happiness and diminishing distress. And then he explained, this is this introductory verse to the whole Sandarbha. When devotion to the Supreme becomes well established, then both of them are automatically accomplished, and not otherwise. Happiness and diminishing of distress. Because what's real happiness in material, that's a benefit of reading Bhagavad Gita. Material happiness isn't real happiness. It's something. There's a buzz. There's a sensation that says, good, and it's limited and temporary. It's not what real happiness is. Real happiness is permanent. It's not, doesn't fade, and then it's gone. Everything material comes and stays for some time, diminishes, and then it's gone. And real happiness isn't like that. Real anything isn't like that. It's eternal. So, is it possible? It's not only possible, it's what Bhagavad Gita is intended to do. Bhagavad Gita is intended to help people, help us, students, and everybody, live their life in practical ways according to their psychophysical nature, and at the same time cultivate real happiness. And they're they're not in conflict or contradiction with one another. The benefit of Bhagavad Gita, natural benefit, is to learn the art of performing your activities according to your nature, while targeting, aiming the direction, the trajectory of life towards attaining the supreme. That's yoga. And the culmination of these different stages or rungs of the yoga ladder is bhakti. Be productive. Be more productive in bhakti than you would have been otherwise, or you were being otherwise without bhakti, without connection with Bhagavan in loving service. Now, how to do that is another thing, but that's the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. But the principle is, the mission of human life is to connect with the Supreme. That's yoga. And there are different kinds of yoga. And the topmost of all is this, whatever it is that you're endowed with, where did it come from? It came from the source of everything. Whatever your intelligence, ability, capacity, something, came from the source. So receive and offer back to the source with love and devotion. It's saying thank you. It's gratitude plus. It's gratitude plus means with love. And then there's an art to cultivate like that. Here's a little example. For example, I was in undergraduate school. My target was to become. It's kind of artificial. Once upon a time, I was in high school, and my father sat me down to say, "What are you going to major in?" And he didn't usually do stuff like that. It was like very, interesting. So I said, my freshman year, I'd have an undeclared major, and then after the first semester, I'll look around and get a better sense of it, have a declared major the second semester. No. My father didn't say no too much. He said, you should go with some purpose, some plan. If you don't, you get lost. Because I'm a young kid and going to college, you get lost. Have a plan. Okay. I'll become a doctor, okay? Okay, that's a good one. You can adjust later, but you have to have a plan. So mine was never made, it was a doctor plan. And there's a devotee in Bombay who became he also graduated in medical practice, but in the course of his medical practice, or training in medical practice, he met devotees. He became Madhavananda Das, who became I don't know what his title is, CEO, or the president, or the captain of the team, the head of the hospital. And he's a doctor, but he's superb personality, and even amongst other hospitals in Bombay and in India, he's recognized as a very competent administrator plus medical practitioner because he does both, and he's a devotee. Where's the fuel in his tank? Rocket fuel. It's bhakti, because he's doing what he's doing. Factually. It's for the satisfaction of Krishna, for the service to the devotee, the service to his spiritual master, and so forth and so on. He's an excellent person with excellent skills, and et cetera, et cetera. His excellence is an endowment from Krishna. Is it possible that he could have it become the CEO of a hospital otherwise? Yeah, possible. but not the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, not that caliber. I mean, and so many other doctors in the hospital that are also devotee doctors, doing their doctor thing, their psychophysical nature thing, with all their education and layered upon itself with specialties. But with service to Krishna and service to the devotees of Krishna. Everybody else can come to that hospital, but they're really special people. If you ever have an illness when you're in Bombay, that's a good place to go. Etc. So the benefits, how the students can benefit from Bhagavad Gita by orienting body-minded words towards attaining the supreme in the topmost system of yoga. Yoga of love and devotion to the supreme. And the other steps are also included in that, the top rung. I'll share something, and I'll go stop on. We picked the wrong time to come. I mean, it's spring break, it's like the wrong time. But so I'm from here, I'm going to Dallas. There's like 5 universities in Dallas, and then there's UT Austin, and there's College Station, Texas A&M, and then there's University of Houston, Rice University. I've been visiting a bunch of universities. I like doing it. I like doing it because it's giving back to Prabhupada what he gave to me. Gratitude. So at those universities, there's selecting the topic. So I have a list like 7, 8 things, and I send them the 7, 8 things. And number 1, overcoming negative emotions, art of meditation. Number 1, because it's stressful. I mean, life is stressful, and add a little pressure to the stressful and become more stressful. Even your capable person is stressful for different social reasons, academic reasons, career reasons, so many reasons. It's a fact that those emotions, those negative emotions, become reduced incrementally and eventually completely gone, but incrementally, generally. This thing Priti Sandarbha says, every human being wants happiness and minimizing distress. And the way to achieve it fully is through devotion to Vishnu and not otherwise. That's the starting point of Priti Sandarbha. And then a whole big book on explaining it in great detail. The benefits, practical benefits by Bhagavad Gita can bring you 3 and whoever else, everybody gets back from vacation and gets back into, so the beginning part of the semester is maybe a little more fun, and toward the end of the semester it gets a little more stressful. Then there are the exams and final exams. There's a lot of effort that goes into preparing your careers. It's okay. I mean, it's part of what education is. It's okay. Spiritual education also. But on the other side of the spiritual education is release from the turmoil of material existence. It's still going forward in responsible life, like anything, but without the same sense of attachment that I'm the cause of the result. So my effort is going to determine the result, instead of Krishna's going to determine the result. So what's a different way of working if you're not thinking I'm going to be the cause of the result? I'm going to work for Krishna, and whatever Krishna wants, that's going to happen anyways, whether I'm a devotee or not a devotee. He has to sanction. Upadrashta Unamanta. So let me work for Krishna, and the result is up to him. It's like coming here to the university. Spring break. That's what happened. But it's up to Krishna. So next time we'll have a better plan, hopefully. And but it's okay. And who knows what's on the other side of an effort that's done with sincerity to please Krishna. Just saying it again. In this coming 3 weeks, I'll be visiting something like 8 universities, 10 universities, something like that. Meeting a lot of students. And who knows what's going to come of that? I don't know what's going to come of that. But one thing I know is that Prabhupada will be pleased. And then some people are going to get something. Some people it's going to go in one ear and out the other ear. And some persons it's going to stick. And for those persons that stick, fantastic. And if they stick, then they may do something with the triple fantastic. And all over the country, many of these places where I go, there once upon a time there were students at such and such university, and now they're professors at such and such a different university, and they're organizing the event. It's bringing Bhagavad Gita's message to other students, the next generation of other students. That's nice. And there's a great need, because the age of Kali is moving, things are going down, quality of life is going down, thoughtfulness, etc., etc., etc. The higher purpose of life is hard to find. So provide it, and the result is up to Krishna. And in each of you, in your whatever your profession is going to be going into the future, whatever that is, if you're carrying Krishna Bhakti, then you'll meet some people, and if carrying Krishna Bhakti and you see somebody, this is Prabhupada. When you want Prabhupada's story. So Prabhupada said, when you see a spark, he moved his hand like this. Not too much. You might put out the spark, or people may think, oh, this person's a fanatic, so don't neither. Just send the spark. And then the spark, handled properly, may become a flame. And then very expert preaching as the flame can become a blaze. That's what he was doing, build a blaze. But each of us, looking at you 3 as students, we'll move on to something after here. By what you receive here and whatever else you've been carrying with you from childhood and previous lives, who knows what. If you're carrying the spark, the desire to see Krishna Bhakti in the lives of people, so they don't have to become overwhelmed by negative emotions and harm themselves and harm others, of course, all of that. Uplift by what you can't do that if you don't have it. So you'll do it whatever your professional skills See what happens. Results of education. It's a nice principle to live by. Besides take and enjoy that which you have the capacity to take. And then die. You can't take it with you, whatever you feel. The message of Bhagavad Gita is for thoughtful people. Manishinam, those who are thoughtful. Those who are not thoughtful, they're primitive workers and they're living like animals. But thoughtful persons don't do that. There's a higher purpose. And what is it? I'd like to learn it better than I know today as part of education, spiritual education. And then live my life. And let it grow within myself and pass it to other people. The proper knowledge. Okay. Now, it's 6:30. Any discussion? We'll start with you three. Any there's other people who would like to discuss. You're quiet. You've been quiet the whole time. You're a thoughtful man.
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know. But
You're here. That's good. What inspired you to come? May I ask? You're here with us. What inspired? You had some expectation. What brought you here? What was inside that brought you to be with us?
I don't know. Like I used to visit Iskcon back in India,
Which place?
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
Yeah. There.
Abbots? Abbots?
No, there is a temple in Banjara Hills.
Okay.
So there people used to say that like associate with Krishna, you will get something like it might not be like
Okay.
something which is
And you felt
immediate.
something from that, not just
Yes.
for a promise, a pava.
Hmm.
You felt something. So when you came here, you said, let me
Just
Oh.
yeah, sometimes just showing up open some doors. So,
yeah, that's true. Okay. Honest. Thoughtful and honest.
I forced him to come.
so there's no forcing. Yeah, I would say rather than me finding about it, this found me. I was able to get here. Krishna wants me to be here, learn something. It's been quite some time since I have been a little detached because I was really caught up with my academics.
Yeah.
So it's good to be in the presence of someone who is more devoted than me. So yeah, I really needed this.
There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita that says what you're saying. It's simple. The word, the Sanskrit word is sangha. Sangat sanjayate kama kama krodha vijayate. You develop qualities like those with whom you associate. It's one of the reasons for being at university. They're educated people, so I can become educated by associating with educated people. Of course, I'm paying, and they're being paid to be educators, but they're educated people. I pick, a place that has a field that matches my interest in educated people. There's a lot of places you can go. So, to learn is what you learn. But for career purposes, primarily. But then quality of life purposes, that's another thing. So same principle. Associate with persons, find those persons that have those refined qualities or higher consciousness qualities, not just get things done qualities, but higher consciousness qualities. And then I can live my life in higher consciousness with proper character and culture and refined purpose to my life. To some degree, at least. That's the spark and the spark. But if this movement, if Prabhupada made that movement for the scan, this is in Vrindavan, when you walk in Vrindavan. Fan the spark. That our life is to carry bhakti, and when we see potential in someone else, maybe just a little spark, fan the spark, it moves again. Fan the spark. And then the spark may become a flame. Proper handling, not too much. Fuel and air and fire. Then your life becomes filled with light, along with whatever else. And gradually, by the process of sound vibration, primarily mantra and Bhagavad Gita message, the sound awakens that further.
Yeah, I'm here every week actually. This is when we meet. Every week last week we were reading about Guru Shishya Parampara. The week before we were reading about temple architecture. So
Temple architecture.
Yep. Yeah. The science
Who
of
had that discussion?
me, yeah. Me and Prasanna, who's a PhD in civil engineering. So that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a novel one. Temple
Definitely.
construction.
Yeah. Pretty fun. I mean, very interesting actually. We explored a lot of different things about how why do the temples in the south differ from the north? What is the logic behind temples being, built a certain way and not the other? What went it like?
We covered that topic.
Yeah.
That's an
It was
interesting topic.
There was one very surprising thing to me was about the carvings on the walls around the temple, where we see the as they're called sundaris,
Yeah.
or the different models. So to me it was I thought it was just to make the place look beautiful, but turns out it's not just that. There's a deeper philosophical meaning to it about so a lot of them, some of the poses where they're dancing, some of the poses where they're reading books, that's how the carvings are.
Yes.
So it's all about telling you about, okay, these are the things that you're supposed to do. Like before you enter the temple, you're supposed to go around the temple, look at these, and sort of clear your mind about, okay, this is
Before entering.
entering the temple, that offering dance to the deity inside is also one of the things which these carvings are telling you. Devoting the knowledge you have also to the deity there. So it's pretty astonishing.
What you're just sharing, I want to share something. It just stirred something for me. Next week is the appearance day of Ramanujacharya. And one of the outstanding features that's popularly known about Ramanujacharya is it took him 18 times before the person who was going to give him mantra diksha gave him his mantra. And he was told explicitly, this is a private mantra. And as soon as he heard the mantra, he went into the public and shouted the mantra. And then his guru said, shame on you. Did you understand what I said? He said, yes, I understood. I'm ready to go to hell because this is so powerful mantra. I didn't want you to hear it. So I was not clear exactly what happened. So there's a devotee in Phoenix who is from Sri Vaishnava tradition. So he consulted his friend, who's a sannyasi, renunciate, the sadhu, what's the real story? Because his version was he was standing on a high hill, and the version that I read was up on a pole. In fact, they had a drawing of he's on top of climbed up a pole. And such. So it turns out it's neither. It's Gopuram. Now I didn't know what Gopuram was, so but I had to do some research. So the Sri Vaishnava sadhu said is three things. One, it wasn't a hill and it wasn't a pole. It was Gopuram. It's like the outside structure that you were just describing to build the impression, the mind and heart leading to the inside of the deity is. So, and you can enter the deity with proper consciousness. Gopuram. And Srirangam Gopuram is like super tall, where he stood the most. And then the other thing, two other things the sannyasi said, or this sadhu said, was he didn't shout it. He spoke it, yes. He spoke it audibly. That's also not supposed to be done, but he spoke it audibly. And then the third thing he said, he did explain it, except to qualified people. You don't give the mantra with an explanation of what the mantra's meaning is. That's what the sadhu said. Since that exchange, this was like big in preparation for Ramanujacharya's appearance, I wanted to know what's the real story. And he said there's many versions. This is the Sri Vaishnava's version. Who knows? Who knows? But the art of constructing a temple back to your time, there's a purpose to it. It's not just art, creative fashion, spiritual life is meant for, and how to do it and come before the deity in that right mindset. Anyone else here that would like to contribute something to this discussion? Yes.
Thanks for an enlightening introduction to Bhagavad Gita, how we can apply this to life. You mentioned about Madhavan Prabhu.
About Madhavananda.
Yeah. So is he the same person? A couple of days ago, you talked about Krishna Kathamritam.
No.
Is it?
Same name.
Okay.
But one's a doctor and the other's an author.
Oh, okay.
One's a disciple of Radha Maharaj who lives in Bombay, and the other is a disciple of Govinda Maharaj who lives in Bhubaneswar.
He writes a
Same name.
newsletter. Okay. Got it.
Very different person.
Thank you.
I heard a couple of his video also. The Prabhu that you mentioned about the
Which one?
doctor.
The doctor.
Doctor one guy. He was glorifying Maharaj, Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
He's one of
He's
the same person. I mean, I've been with him in his presence a few times, and as busy as he is, he's completely focused. He gives his undivided attention to whoever he's with. It is meaningful exchange for both parties, and then then moves on to the next thing. It's just one of his characteristics. Yeah. Nice, wonderful qualities.
in one of the video, it was podcast. He said about how he got into Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So he was
Thanks.
so. Mayapur he went, and that's where he get into all the Maharaj. So that's.
Bhaktivedanta Hospital.
Yeah,
Mira Road.
same, definitely.
One more question. So Sri Rudra Sampradaya and Maharaj, you also talked about Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. They both are the same. Rudra Sampradaya.
What about it? What is your question specifically?
So both are the same Sampradaya, or they are two different Sampradaya?
Which are the two?
One is the Rudra,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you also talked about Ramanuja.
They're different Sampradaya. Sri Sampradaya and Rupa Sampradaya are different. Very good.
Ramacharya, Ramanuja.
He's from Sri Sampradaya.
Citizen. Okay, sure. I was confused.
Yeah.
Please share when you had the aha moment, when you were first engaged in chanting the Maha Mantra and reading Bhagavad
It
Gita.
wasn't quite like that.
Okay, it wasn't, okay.
No, it was gradual. I shared a little bit.
It was nice. That's why I was asking for more. If you would,
But it was gradual. You know, there was a moment that I decided I have to get back to Prabhupada. I received so much. I can't just take. I have to say thank you. But to say thank you means do something. So how can I do something that's meaningful to the person who gave me everything? Changed my life. And that's the system in my doing. He did to the temple, so I could go stay in the temple for some time and help the guy me do something. So that was it. But that was not like the chanting itself. Anything? You're happy. You want to say something?
My sister had just know the daily service and like reading books and Bhagavad Gita and other spiritual books. Is the spiritual books reading and is the more needed or just a daily service and I think need the both balance.
You know the answer. But I'll give you the answer that you already know. According to Rupa Goswami, the 9 processes, Prabhupada would repeat all 9 of any age or even one. So your propensity is going to determine the answer to your question. Generally speaking, the answer is that and the answer is that. So therefore, they're all important. The chanting, the reading, the deity worship, they're all important. They're fundamental. And in course of time, you may find greater inspiration, a Krishna connection with deity worship or a Krishna connection with reading Bhagavad Gita made with chanting. Doesn't mean you let chanting stop, but there's a principal one that you may have more drawn to. It's fine. So in the beginning, there's each of these 3, just take those 3, they're important. They're purifying. And they awaken the natural bhakti that's within. You do them all in a regulative way. Like he's saying he does some chanting every day. That's something in a regulated way. You find by purification and by thoughtfulness, something is particularly stirring by innate devotion to Krishna from within by this activity or that one, or combination. You have to do that. Focus.
I took 60 rounds every day.
Good.
Last like 6 to 7 years.
Congratulations.
And daily savers and seeing and having meetings and not to do the daily seva like deity, sometimes I make deities, deities like that.
Nice. Let's say about
Yeah,
this version, that version, it's all service. Self-contained.
yeah. I
The rest of your life.
trying to do in the reading books also, but
But
I'm more like to do the daily service.
and those things that you don't like as much as the daily service, try engaging in those things that you have less natural affinity for with others that have affinity for. They'll become part of a reading group. And then you just tagging along with the reading group. You follow?
Yeah.
I'm looking at this young man who's, here because you found something, so you came here to maybe you find something similar. So by association of persons who have affinity, and then it becomes, you may like it as much as you like the English. So that some of others that like it, their quality becomes your quality. Okay, we're gonna end. And I see some there's Rashan over here. You got some. You
There's
got,
maha and cookies,
okay,
and I think they have 4%.
okay, you got a lot of Rashan. You check the book. Because you pay your credit, and then everybody likes cookies, right?
Should I done this?
You like cookies.